Okay folks, so here's part 2 of the video. In the first video we did disassembly, so you got it all to see how it got taken apart. I got parts strewn out all over the place. Now I trust that you've cleaned all of the old greases off, whether by scraping or chemical techniques. We've taken care of the end of play trip, which we pulled apart and resurfaced a little rubber tire there to help grip there. Reassembled that, re-greased it with moly. Cleaned all the old grease off the platter bearing, and the rubber band is there to help keep the little rubber grommet tire spacer there, whatever you want to call it, when we put it upside down and back into the turntable. All of the greases have been cleared from the record selector size pieces, and so we're ready to put it all back together, and we're going to do it in the reverse order of how we started. So the first thing you're going to grab is the little number of record selector. I forget what this is called in this technical manual, but the red thing with all the little teeth in it. So we're going to place that over the spindle, and you can see here that I've cleared away all the old grease. We're going to use no grease on this part. We're going to notch it and put it in place so it's about at the neutral position there. Next thing we want to do is you want to oil up the shaft bearing for the record selectors. Now, go down to a parts store or go online and get these little oilers. It's a time saver. They're cheap, about $5 for a pack of 3. So just with some 30 weight machine oil, just very carefully lube up the bearing shaft here. Doesn't have to be a lot. And remember how we mark those pieces, T for top and B for bottom. We're going to install those now. And we're going to put these back in place. And they fit into each other, so make sure you got the orientation right. See how it's got a little shaft there. And these all have to line up and press in together. They should seat so that they all interact with each other. You may have to jiggle and move things around to get them to seat, but they do. Just like that. Okay, so that's firmly planted now. And remember those marks that we made. Let's see if we can get that right. See how the marks don't line up right? So there we go. Put that in the right orientation there so the marks line up. Now, the next thing to do, remember those springs, top and bottom ones, grab those. Now let's see if you can reattach those without pulling your hair out. Trying to do this one-handed is no fun, so I apologize for the length that this is taking. In fact, what I'm going to do is put the camera down a moment. That'll allow me to better get these on here. Some of the parts of this repair really require 2 hands, and if you don't have 2 hands free, you can't do it, so there you go. Okay, there's one side. And there's the other side. That's the top spring. We'll do the bottom one here. And then we will move on. Okay, so we got the top and bottom springs in place here. You can see that's how it was before we took it apart. Don't worry about how this doesn't line up yet, because there will be something here that will keep that in place. Now remember that spring that I told you about you had to cut down? That's the one. So we're going to get our little diagonal cutters here, and I'm going to show you how much to cut down. You'll see the difference. So that's about how much you want to cut down. Seems like a lot, but trust me, it works for the best. So we're going to put the larger of the two pieces on there, And we're going to get the E-clip and attempt to put it back in place, camera in hand. Oop. Okay, so that's in place now. Keeps it there. Make sure both pieces move relatively freely. We can see that the bottom spring here decided to come loose. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get the record selector piece, this guy with a little weird thing back in place. And this might require that I put down the camera too. Let's see if I can do it here. You gotta get this kind of in the hole. There we go. That's in that end. And we'll take it and we'll put it in this end. Let me just put this down a moment again so I can get this in the selector. Another two-hand job. Okay, so that's in place. Alright, so we got that in place there. Make sure that continues to move freely, which it does. And then that little blue spring that we had earlier, that one over there, there we go. The blue spring gets reattached to this guy right here. Okay, sorry about that. Again, I had to have two hands. So the blue spring attaches there. You've got that part down. That's good. The next thing is the 3345 adapter. Now you want to insert this piece here. You want to make sure that you pull this aside to insert it, like this. Otherwise, it will jam from bumping into the speed selector. So again, put it before the lever, not after. Because obviously this will jam up and then you'll break your cycling cam. Don't want to do that. So now that you've got that in, remember we didn't take loose the arm, so we have to swing this around like so. And then we have to lift up on this guy here so we get the adequate clearance to slip it underneath the arm right over there. You have to clear this little tooth here, and then this goes in the blue detent here, which I may have to put down the camera again in order to reinstall. Yep, gotta put down the camera.